The Temple Mount in Jerusalem has never been excavated, but an illegal construction project 20 years ago opened the door to some major discoveries.
Archaeologists in Israel have uncovered something that is absolutely breathtaking.
Beneath the Temple Mount, one of the most sacred and untouchable places on Earth, scientists have detected a sealed underground complex that was never meant to be opened again. Hidden for nearly 3,000 years, these man-made chambers contain untouched ritual tools, sacred stones, and evidence of forbidden worship practices that directly contradict the official biblical record. What's buried below isn't just archaeology, it's proof that ancient Jerusalem was hiding something in plain sight, directly under the holiest ground in the city. Underground miracle. Jerusalem is a city that sits on layers of its own past, but the area under the Temple Mount has always been the biggest mystery of all. For thousands of years, this spot has been the most sacred place for millions of people. It's the heart of the city, but because it's so holy, nobody was ever allowed to dig there. It's one of the only places on the planet where archaeologists haven't been able to use a shovel. That all changed 20 years ago when an illegal building project accidentally created a way for scientists to see what's hiding below the surface. This wasn't a planned excavation, but it opened a window into a world that's been dark for nearly 3,000 years. The Temple Mount Sifting Project is a massive effort to find proof of what really happened in ancient times. Scientists started looking at the dirt that was pulled out during that construction, and they found things that shouldn't have been there. But the real breakthrough happened when they stopped looking at the dirt and started looking through the ground itself. Using ground-penetrating radar, they sent waves deep into the earth to see what was hiding under the heavy stones.
This ground-penetrating radar technology is revealing evidence, undisputable proof.
What most people don't realize is that this radar can see through solid rock to find empty spaces. And get this, the radar didn't just find one room. It found a whole network of chambers. These rooms aren't natural caves that just happened to be there. They're man-made rooms that were carefully carved out of the limestone. The radar maps show that these chambers are connected together like a secret underground base. The most shocking part is that these rooms have been sealed shut since roughly 700 years before Christ was born. That means they haven't had a breath of fresh air or a single visitor in 28 centuries. When the scans started coming in, the researchers couldn't believe their eyes. It's like finding a locked door in your basement that leads to a whole different house. The size of this find is huge. We're talking about spaces that were built during the time of the First Temple, which is a period people have been trying to understand forever. This was a time when ancient Jerusalem was still a growing power, and the Temple Mount was the center of everything. But because of how sensitive the site is, the scientists can't just go down there and start exploring. There's so much political and religious tension that one wrong move could start a massive fight. So for now, they have to use technology to peek inside the darkness. It's both thrilling and frustrating because they know exactly where the treasure is, but they can't touch it. This technology gives us undisputable proof that there's more to the Temple Mount than what we see on the top. The scans show that the rooms were built with a lot of care. They weren't just storage closets. They were designed for something important. Some experts think they might have been used by priests to hide sacred scrolls during times of war. Others wonder if they were secret meeting spots for the city's leaders. There's even a chance they were used as hiding spots when the city was under attack.
We have uncovered one of the most meaningful items that is a witness to one of the most dramatic events in the history of Jewish people.
Whatever they were, they've stayed safe from every army that ever tried to conquer Jerusalem. It's almost like the earth itself decided to protect these secrets. This hidden network is a massive piece of the puzzle for understanding how the city worked. It's not just about the rooms themselves, but where they're located. They are sitting right at the heart of the city's spiritual history. Every scan brings us closer to a truth that's been buried for ages. And that's putting it lightly, because once we start looking at what's actually inside these rooms, the story gets even crazier. The mystery only grows deeper when you look at how these rooms were actually used by the people who built them. Untouched sacred rituals. Right near the spot where Solomon's temple once stood, scientists found something that feels like stepping back in time. It's an 8-room shrine that stayed untouched by the outside world since the Iron Age. These rooms were sealed so tightly that not even dust could get inside. While kingdoms were being destroyed and rebuilt above them, these rooms stayed in total silence.
Solomon decides to build a temple in Jerusalem. The temple becomes the home of God.
No thief ever found them, and no fire ever reached them. It's hands down the best preserved site ever found in the city. Basically, it's a time capsule that shows us exactly what life was like 3,000 years ago. Inside this shrine, the scientists found tools that give us a huge clue about what was happening there. There are oil presses and wine basins carved right into the stone. These aren't just normal tools you'd find in a kitchen, though. They were used for sacred ceremonies. Imagine priests working in these dimly lit rooms, pressing fresh olives into oil for offerings or pouring wine into stone basins to honor their god. These items aren't broken or tossed around. They're sitting right where they were left, as if the people using them just stepped out for a minute and never came back. One of the most powerful things found in these rooms is a tall stone called a maspa. In ancient times, these standing stones were a huge deal. People believed they symbolized the actual presence of God. They'd gather around them to pray and treat the stone like it was holy. Finding one of these right under the Temple Mount is a massive discovery. It proves that this specific patch of land has been considered sacred for a really, really long time. It's not just a legend. The proof is standing right there in the dark, carved by hands that have been gone for thousands of years. The shrine also has stone altar slabs that were used for making offerings. What's really crazy is that scientists actually found traces of oils and incense still on the surface of the stones. Even after 2,800 years, the remains of the rituals are still there. You can almost imagine the smell of the burning incense filling the small rooms while people whispered their prayers. Those smells are long gone, but the physical evidence stays behind like a ghost of the past. It shows that the people who used this shrine were very serious about their faith. The fact that there are 8 rooms shows that this was a complex operation. It wasn't just a tiny altar in a corner. It was a whole system of worship. Each room probably had its own purpose, from preparing the offerings to the actual prayer. The construction is solid and shows that whoever built this had a lot of skill. They knew how to work with the limestone of Jerusalem to create something that would last. And boy, did it last. It stayed in perfect condition while the rest of the city was flattened by different empires over and over again. This shrine is more than just a bunch of old rooms. It's a message from the people of ancient Jerusalem. It tells us what they valued and how they spent their time. For scientists, it's like finding a treasure chest of information. For people of faith, it's a sign that the roots of the Temple Mount go deeper than anyone ever imagined. It's a place where history and mystery meet in a very real way. But here's the deal. While these rooms are amazing, they also reveal a secret that makes people question everything they thought they knew about the Bible. The artifacts sitting in the dark tell a story that doesn't quite match the official history books. Hidden royal rebellion. The discovery of this shrine does more than just show us cool artifacts. It actually raises some massive questions about the history we read in the Bible. For a long time, the story was pretty simple. King Hezekiah ruled over the land of Judah about 2,700 years ago, and he was known for being a big reformer. He wanted everyone to worship in just one place, the main temple in Jerusalem. According to the old texts, he went around and destroyed all the local shrines and altars.
Israeli archaeologists believe they've uncovered new evidence about King Hezekiah, and they say it supports the biblical account he destroyed the high places and idols in the land of Israel.
He wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page and following the same rules. But the shrine found under the Temple Mount tells a different story. It's got 8 rooms full of ritual tools and sacred stones, and it looks like it was active right when Hezekiah was in charge. This means that his reforms might not have been as successful as the history books say. It looks like some people weren't ready to give up their old ways of worship. They might have followed the king's rules in public, but in secret, they were going underground to keep their traditions alive. It's a classic case of people doing one thing while their leaders tell them to do another. This realization is a total game changer for historians. It suggests that ancient Jerusalem was a lot more complicated than we thought. It wasn't just one big group of people all doing the same thing. There were layers to their faith. You had the official worship happening at the Grand Temple for everyone to see, but you also had these secret private rituals happening right under the king's feet. It's kind of wild to think about. While the king was trying to centralize everything, people were literally digging out secret rooms to keep their old habits. Human nature hasn't changed much in 3,000 years, has it? People hold on to their traditions and their faith, especially when someone tells them they have to stop. These secret shrines show that the religious life of ancient Jerusalem was full of diversity. It wasn't just a straight line from one way of worshiping to another. It was a struggle. There was a lot of push and pull between the old ways and the new laws. This discovery makes the ancient people feel much more real to us because we can see them struggling with the same things we do today. The implications for this are huge for the whole history of the region. If Hezekiah's reforms weren't absolute, then we have to re-examine everything we know about that time. It means the path to making the temple the only holy place was a long and messy process. It wasn't something that happened overnight just because a king said so. The shrine is proof that reality was way messier than the official version. It gives us a colorful and complex picture of what it was like to live in Jerusalem back then. For scholars, this is a reminder that every story has more than one side. The Bible tells us the laws and the big events, but archaeology shows us what the average person was actually doing. Sometimes they followed the rules, and sometimes they didn't. This underground shrine is a witness to that secret history. It shows that even the most powerful kings couldn't control everything their people believed. And get this, the items they left behind in their secret rooms give us even more clues about their lives. These tiny objects are the keys to unlocking the daily lives of people who lived thousands of years ago. The artifacts found inside the shrine aren't just old junk. They're like tiny voices from the past telling us about their world. One of the coolest things found were scarabs. These are small stones carved to look like beetles, and they actually come from Egypt. Finding them in a secret shrine in Jerusalem is a huge deal. It proves that the people living there were connected to the rest of the world. They weren't isolated. They were trading ideas and symbols with their neighbors. It shows that Jerusalem was a hub for culture and trade, even 3,000 years ago. Scientists also found cooking pots and loom weights. Now that might sound boring, but in a sacred shrine, it's super interesting. The pots were likely used to make food for offerings. Back then, eating a meal was often a way of worshiping. The loom weights, which were used for weaving cloth, suggest that people were making special fabrics for the shrine. Maybe they were weaving holy garments for the priests or covers for the sacred objects. This tells us that faith wasn't just about praying. It was also about the work people did with their hands. Ancient Jerusalem's secrets are finally coming into the light. But are we ready for what they'll tell us about our own future? What do you think is still hidden down there? Comment with your theories below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Unsealed Prophecy for more biblical revelations.